in any given dementia unit, up to a third can have expressive aphasia, another third their speech can vary, and then the other third can speak quite well. So it's a vast range of expression and speaking abilities that dementia residents have in dementia units. And you'll often find that those that speak well are very good to the ones that have aphasia and will help them out whenever they can. Actually, the people that have aphasia and can't speak, except for maybe, yes or no, and that's often just a shake of the head, they do find ways to be able to communicate, and their own ways, and I'll just go into a few of those now. There was one particular resident, she was a nurse, and she was very caring and considerate of the other residents. So if anyone would fall, she'd wave out, call out. She wouldn't speak, but she'd call out. If someone needed a glass of water, she'd get another staff member to bring them a glass of water. And she was very considerate and understanding. And she actually communicated as if she was speaking. I mean, she wasn't speaking, but she was so vigorous in her communication with body language, gestures, eye contact, yes-no answers, that she engaged you. And she insisted that you keep communicating with her until you understood what it was she was saying. And the way that you went about this was basically you just had to go through the whole list of what it was that she might be thinking or trying to say. And she'd just give yes-no answers until finally you got the answer. But because she was a nurse and because her consideration was very much for the other residents, you'd pretty much know it was about someone else that she was trying to communicate about. So you get through it that way. So she was very considerate and used to come to all the workshops. She couldn't contribute verbally, but she was totally there in her presence and persona. And she'd sit with all the other ladies and partake as anyone else would, except she wasn't speaking. That's actually the remarkable thing about being in a dementia unit, that all these abilities can be accommodated and are, mainly because of the acceptance of the other dementia residents towards each other. Now, I've found that the people that have aphasia and that can't speak, they're very pleasant, nice, well-mannered. They put their energy into their facial expressions. Because they're not speaking, they compensate with being very expressive in their persona, smiles, eye contact, and expressions. And it's very effective because it's actually quite calming, to be honest. Because in a dementia unit, there's so much going on and often so much noise, multi-layered noise, that for these residents that don't speak, that communicate with you in a pleasant manner and are calm and nice disposition, they actually help the atmosphere a lot. They calm the atmosphere around them. There's a peaceful presence. You know that if you sit by them, they're not going to lash out or yell because they don't speak. They've lost the ability to express through their vocal cords, so they don't shout out. And you can rely on these people that they'll contribute to the workshop, the atmosphere, the table, wherever they are, with their calm, peaceful presence, which is no small thing. Now, there was another lady with dementia who I was working with who had expressive aphasia. A lot of the people with language problems are younger, often in dementia units, and so they're pretty fit and active, and they often tend to be the wanderers who wander around the unit, and in a circular fashion, hour after hour. And there was this one particular woman who was very pleasant and lovely, and she would wander around the unit, but she'd also wander around the inner table where we were trying to have the workshops, which could be a bit frustrating. But everyone tolerated it because they liked her. They knew she was a pleasant person and she wasn't doing it deliberately to irritate. But she had a a fall this one day. Well, she just about had a fall. She tripped over the whiteboard that I was writing on, and I was really concerned because I could see her going down, and she would have hit her head on the fireplace had she landed. So I thought, look, I'll just try and leap out and catch her, which I managed to catch her. But the problem being that when I did, she was stiff as a ramrod and didn't flex. I didn't count on that. So when I went to catch her, she just lay like that on top of me as I fell backwards onto the floor. Thankfully, no injuries. Anyway, after that, I said to her, now look, please be very careful about tripping over things, because I caught you the other day, but we nearly had a bit of an injury out of it. And she said, oh, sorry. She'd never spoken before. And then after that, I said, well, never mind, you know, let's hope it doesn't happen again. And she said, you're lovely. And she patted my head like a pony. Now, she had award-winning ponies. That was her life. She'd been in competitions. And she patted my head as if I was a pony and said, you're lovely. None of us had ever seen her speak before, but somehow she managed to say that. But with these people with aphasia, more importantly, the aphasic ones, more importantly is the people that I've worked with that are aphasic, understand. They do understand. They totally understand. Just they can't communicate what they'd like to say. So for them to be part of the workshop, to communicate with them, to have them involved in the activities is a really important thing. And they're a really positive contribution in their presence, personality and persona. They really are, because I have found that they don't get angry, they don't get distressed, they don't call out, and having pleasant personas in a dementia unit helps a lot in the atmosphere and contribution and community. So I've written about all this in these two books, The Resident's Voice and A Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit and on Amazon and on my website below. And thank you for your subscriptions, comments and likes. Thank you.